Today we are going to meet a special personality, John, who made it through alcoholism, homelessness, and family loss, to a life in Paris and an author of Prosperity Now. Now we are going to take a look into the coping mechanisms of John and how he lived his hard days.
So my childhood was pretty normal, but it was also dysfunctional in some serious ways. And long before I ever picked up alcohol or drugs, I knew that this was where I was going to go. And I did. And it was a coping mechanism. It was a way to have fun. It was a way to make friends. It was a way to leave my body and get out of myself. And I didn't know how much pain I was in due to some serious childhood trauma, but I was in a lot of pain. But I wouldn't have said that. I was a pretty happy kid. I was a pretty smart kid. But once I picked up drugs and alcohol at 14, 15, I didn't put them down. And they worked for a while. They got me friends and I had fun and I had no real serious mind to have a plan for my life, for college, for career. It was just all, I'll do whatever and I'll party. And that was the main thing. And that quickly stopped working and stopped being fun. But once you're in those grips, you can't get out of it. Not easily, not without help. And I didn't know that. So I went along for over 20 years and my life went down and down and down. I got married, I got divorced. I came out of the closet during that period very badly, very traumatically to my family. And I kept using. I had a partner who I met who actually changed my mind about coming out, but he died of AIDS in the early 90s. And I was homeless twice in this period, but fortunately not on the street. I was living with other friends on their couches and in their back bedrooms, but I didn't have a home of my own. And I had a job, but that job didn't go very well, and they asked me to leave. I was trying to finish college. It took me 18 years to get a 4-year degree in the US, a regular bachelor's degree, 18 years. And things just went from bad to worse, but very slowly. And about the time that my partner died, and I talk about him in the book that we're going to talk about, I started going to what's known as 12-step meetings, the program of recovery. And there's lots of different types of recovery programs. And I was going to the ones that helped you deal with other people, but I wasn't going to the ones for my own drug and alcohol use. That would take some more pain. And pain is a great teacher, and pain is a great motivator. And we say, if you find yourself in a deep, deep hole, the first thing to do is stop digging. Well, I kept digging for a couple of more years. Eventually, I hit a bottom with the substances, and I came into the 12-step programs for myself and for my own problem. And that was the beginning of it all. Within 18 months, a year and a half of no drugs, no alcohol, sober, whole new life, whole new experience. I had not been sober since I was 14, as I said. A friend of mine, I used to go with him. I didn't have a car. He said, oh, we should go to this place, this church, the spiritual center. You might like it. You might like it. And I was like, well, whatever. I wasn't looking for that. Didn't know I was looking for that. And then I went and one Sunday, and then that was it. I never left that place. And they teach metaphysical spiritual principles. And I do a lot of that now in helping other people understand metaphysical spiritual principles. I was diagnosed with AIDS at that time. I found a therapist who I still work with 25 years later. At that time, I had just started my career in government in New York State, which I never would have had. I never would have been able to hold on to if I was still abusing drugs and alcohol. And from there, it all took off. I started learning about principles of prosperity and abundance and generosity and circulation and law of attraction and in all the different aspects of spirituality. So I'm a person that picks and takes from everything. And I actually was ordained in 2015 as an interfaith minister. So I know a little bit about a lot of religions, just enough to be dangerous. And yeah, so that's what happened was we sometimes say GOD stands for gift of desperation. I was so desperate I would do anything. And I was in enough pain and I stopped digging. And by the grace of God, the grace of the universe, the power of love, whatever you want to call it, there's many, many names, but I think it's all one energy. I have not only survived all that, but I've really thrived and used it. And this is part of the sublime loving power, is that the worst day of my life, the day that I hit bottom, was really the best day of my life, because that's the day I turned around and started going in another direction.
Now let's take a look into how John managed to take back control of his life and turn things around. What mechanisms did he follow and what strategies did he apply in his life?
The desperation, the loneliness, the fear, the confusion, is all, everybody has that to some degree, and then some of us really have it in ways that is just so profound and very dangerous, really. I mean, this is a life or death situation, and I was in really bad shape. I was in very poor health. I had a very bad back. I was very sick with the virus, HIV, that I didn't even know, because I was too scared to go get a test. I had some friends. I was blessed to have friends and places to sleep. I had very little money. And I didn't know what to do. Part of the fog of drugs and alcohol is you think this is helping you handle all the nonsense that's going on, all the difficulties and the problems. You think it's helping you, actually, and it's not. It's actually causing them, causing many of them, or making it so that you can't handle your life. There's a word we use in recovery, is unmanageable. Unmanageable. Couldn't manage my affairs. And so I tell a story that there was a community center in my neighborhood. And after my partner died, I went there one day out of loneliness, and I knew they were having a little breakfast get together for people to help staff. They had a little coffee house. They sold coffee and candy and things like that. And you had to be trained. And so I went to this little introductory orientation breakfast, and I said, I can staff on Sundays, because I was still trying to go to school and I was trying to work, trying to manage my life. And they said, well, we don't open on Sundays. I said, well, that's the only day I can do it. I will be consistent. I will come every Sunday. I will open up and I will staff. I can do my homework. I can watch American football. And this man I didn't know said, well, I will staff with you. His name is Tim. And Tim became my very best friend. Tim and I are still friends. I just talked to him the other day. This is 35 years ago, almost 30 years ago. And so every Sunday, Tim and I staffed that coffee house. Well, there was a 12-step meeting that went on at night in the evening in that building. And I would see the people come in and they would get coffee and then they would go upstairs to their meeting. And they were nice. And I didn't think much of it other than they came in, got coffee and went upstairs. When I was really desperate, when I really hit my bottom, I went upstairs to that meeting for the first time. I'd never been up there. And my belief, my experience is my higher power put me in that building on Sundays when they didn't have staffers normally, put me in that building so that I would, when I was ready, when I was in enough pain, I knew where to do. And I crawled up the stairs to the third floor to that meeting. And that was the beginning of the change. in my life. It's almost like the tide was going out. The tide was going out. My life force was ebbing. My life force was flowing away. And just at that point, it switched and it started slowly to flow back in and build again. And really, I trace it all to that Sunday night meeting in that community center. And then since then, you know, there's work to do. There are steps. There's 12-step program, and there are 12 steps. So I started working the steps, worked with a sponsor. You get somebody who knows what they're doing to guide you. And one of the things that people like me have a problem with is listening to authority, listening to suggestions. And so they're usually very gentle, sometimes not so gentle. But when you're desperate, you'll do anything to fix your life and listen and see. These people are happy. They're successful. They've got jobs. They've got cars. They're healthy. You know, they've got friends. They do things. They go on vacations. I wasn't doing any of that. I didn't have time, money, or energy to do any of that. And I remember, like, the first times I went on vacation with some of these people to the ocean, to Cape Cod. And this is all new to me. And I'm 35, 36 at this point, years old. Not that I had never been on vacation before, but it had been a very long time. And so they start to show you what life will be like, and you can have this too. And so I started working my career in government, and I started to work this program. And I started going to this spiritual center, this church, and I started practicing these principles. And I took some prosperity courses, and I learned of the concept that I use in the book, the Prosperity Now book, called tithing. And basically that's taking 10% of whatever comes in and putting it back out there to the places where spiritual energy is happening. It's not charity. It's separate from charity. And that really helped open my consciousness up that I have enough. One of my mantras that I use with my students is, I have enough. I have more than enough. I have more than enough to share. And now I'm ready to receive more. And this give and take, this ebb and flow, this inhalation and exhalation of abundance, of joy, of freedom, of energy, circulation, it does grow. It grows tremendously. You know, I've gone from, like I said, homeless, sleeping on people's couches, to living in Paris, France. It's been an amazing journey. So that's basically how I broke away and turned things around. It wasn't because I was good. It wasn't because I was smart. It wasn't because I was lucky. It's because the grace of God, if you want to use that term, the love of the universe, the love of this energy is here for everybody. We just need to be in a place where we accept it. If it's coming at me, but I go no, or I don't look and I don't feel it and I don't take it, it just passes me by until I'm ready to receive the blessings, till I'm ready to receive the gifts. And the gifts are sometimes of pain and lessons that I need to learn. The gifts are sometimes of surprises, of joy. The apartment that I found in Paris was totally unlooked for, totally in a neighborhood that I didn't think about because it was too upscale and too out of my league. And it fell into my lap, in a beautiful, wonderful, miraculous way. So if I can do it, I think anybody can do it. If somebody is struggling, if somebody is confused, if somebody's hit a wall, you know, they had a death in the family, a car accident, the cat died, you know, whatever, the job went away. These are the times when the universe is saying, I'm here for you. This is your wake-up call. And we can choose to listen to the call and wake up, or we can choose to go back to sleep. One of the great poems I love by Rumi starts, "Do not go back to sleep. Do not go back to sleep." And so that's what I'm trying to do for myself, is stay awake as best I can, even wake up even more, and help others. Step one is we admit it. We were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Two is came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step three is made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood God. Four is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. This is the house cleaning steps now. Five, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Six is we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Step seven, humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. Eight, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step nine, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood God, praying only for knowledge of God's will for us and the power to carry that out. And then step 12, having had a spiritual awakening, as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
Throughout that hectic journey, John managed to develop his own way and his own strategy into helping others. Let's have a look into his book and his program of helping others to overcome difficult times.
I talk a lot about prayer. So the question is my prayer clear or muddy? Is it consistent or confused? Do I say one thing and do another, think another? There's three principles that we use in the metaphysical spiritual community: denials, affirmations, and gratitude. And those three working together are very powerful engines for change. Denials is not I don't see that happening and pretending something isn't real. Denials is denying something that's an illusion that looks true. There's not enough in the world for me. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. All those things that you hear people say all the time. Deny those things. Say, no, that's not true. That's not true for me. I don't believe that. I take that out of the law. And then affirm something that is true, even if it doesn't look like it's true, because it's true in God, it's true in love, it's true in spirit. So one of my favorites is very simple. The denial is thoughts of lack and limitation. Those thoughts have no power over me. God is the source of my good. There's no lack in God. There are no limits in God. So by that two-pronged approach, deny the things that the world says is true, but really aren't true in spirit, and affirm the things that are true in spirit, even though they're hard to see. And then gratitude. I rely on people affirming their abundance by tithing to the Prosperity Now group and program. Tithing is an ancient concept. It comes from farming cultures. If you're a farmer and you're going to plant your crop and grow it and harvest it and feed your animals and eat it over the next year, you have to save some aside. Because if you don't, there wasn't any feed stores back then and farm stores. You had to save some because next year that was what you were going to plant to perpetuate the cycle. So a good farmer would save 10% of the seeds of the grain. A really smart farmer would save the best, the fattest, most juiciest seeds, because that ensures that the crop next year is even going to be larger, an increase. So a big part of this is that house cleaning of family, society, educational institutions, religious institutions, television, whatever, that have told me these things over decades and even centuries, if you want to believe in you know the accumulation of things in our spirits and in our DNA that are holding us back. What are the things that are working in our lives? Are they true? Are they useful? If they are, great. If they're not, get rid of them, clear them out, clean them out. The analogy I use is a garden. I want to plant a beautiful garden, but there's rocks and weeds and thorns and glass and old car tires. I can't plant a garden in that. I have to clear it all out first. I have to clean it out, get the soil prepared nicely, then I can plant. Then the new seeds will come up and there'll be a beautiful garden.
Now we have seen that three things affected John's life so deeply. The first thing is he was hit hard by desperation when his all options and the choices ran out. The second option is that when he chose to heal and he went up to the right path with the right people. The third thing is when he decided to clean his environment and to change all the givens in his direct environment. Would you think that healing and success in your environment would require going through these three difficult steps? Waiting for your ideas and suggestions in the comments.